For 24 in honor of Kobe after hitting that three yesterday. Matt, why do you think younger players are just so attached to Kobe Bryant?
Well, he's their generation's Michael Jordan. You know, I grew up watching Michael, Magic, Larry. These guys grew up watching Kobe, LeBron, and these guys. So, I mean, he's their everything, and I loved all the honoring and respect Kobe got yesterday.
Absolutely. Right, Chanae? It's just great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's talking about my generation, the 90s babies. He was our greatest. When he dropped 81, that was the standard. So yes, Matt, that's not yours, that's mine. But we are his legacy, his living legacy. And that's why I'm, glad to bounce a ball every chance I get.
That is beautifully, beautifully put. Welcome to The Jump. I am Rachel Nichols. I am joined, in fact, by NBA champ, co-host of All the Smoke, Matt Barnes, as well as former number one overall pick. I mean, let's be honest. Once you're the number one overall pick, you're always the number one overall pick. Chiney Ogwumike, co-host of the Chiney and Golic Jr. radio show. Coming up, guys, we're going to get into some MVP talk, so stick around for that. Our producer's putting a few names up on the board already. But first, the NBA has felt kind of like a game of cards the past few years. Lots of high-stakes gambling, some teams folding early when trying to collect chips for the future, and others, reshuffling the deck every time they get cards that don't come up winners. And there's no one who's been more active at that table than the Houston Rockets. Remember when they tried to beat a Golden State flush with a pair of Harden Pauls, then asked the dealer to hit them with a Westbrook? And when that didn't work, hey, just deal them in for a whole new hand. Of course, there's always a risk when you do that, right? You don't know for sure if what you're getting is going to be better than what you're giving up. But last night, the Rockets at least started getting their cards in order. It was the first time their new backcourt of John Wall and Victor Oladipo were on the floor together. It was also Wall's first game against the Wizards team that spit him into the discard pile just a few months ago. And he did not remotely hide his desire to show them just what they were missing. Wall had 15 points and 4 assists in the first half, including this coast-to-coast behind-the-back beauty. Look at this. So nice. On the other side, Bradley Beal kept doing what Bradley Beal has been doing. He dropped 33 in this game, along with 5 rebounds, 4 assists, enough to keep him as the NBA's leading scorer. And I want to note, there was no animosity last night between Wall and Beal, despite that Beal's ascension was a big part of the Wizards deciding to trade Wall. In fact, Wall and Beal say they still text regularly. The same cannot be said, however, for Wall and Russ, who got into it in the fourth quarter of this game. So what was this all about? Well, let them tell you.
Trash talking. That's what two competitive guys do. Russ been kicking my ass for years. This ain't the first time we trash talked before.
I don't start talking. I defend myself because I don't, allow people just to say anything, especially when I know the facts as it pertains to anybody on the court playing against. So I think they just start talking because they just started winning at that time. So, it's cool though. We play them again.
Apparently, last night in Houston, it was really dark indoors. Everyone needed sunglasses. Anyway, the kerfuffle came in the middle of a Rockets 24-9 run in the fourth quarter. For most of the game, Oladipo and Wall they just had looked like they didn't really quite know what to do with each other yet. But by the final frame, that started to change. Oladipo hits this nice turnaround J, a little more than 7 seconds to go. Whoop! That looks great. Then Wall came back into the game, and the two went to work, combining for 19 points as the Rockets blew the game open. Afterward, Wall did not hold back.
But I just feel like their organization thought I was done. No matter how much hard work I put in over the summer, they came and watched me. I thought they thought I was done, and that's why I came out here and did what I did.
Well then, it's interesting. In the NBA's big picture, the Wall-Westbrook trade wasn't a game changer. It's not even the biggest trade Houston's made in the past 3 months. But in every trade, the stakes are always high for the players involved. And last night, Wall let Washington know he's still able to be part of a winning hand. So, Matt, we did see things get chippy with Russ and John Wall last night. What did you take away from that exchange between the two of them?
Just competitiveness. These guys are two similar players, traded for each other. Obviously, Russ with all his accolades, John coming off 2 serious injuries and still trying to prove himself. This was very personal for him. Not only really, I wouldn't even say so much against Russ, more against Washington, because he's given his heart and soul and he ends up getting traded. So I just thought it was great. Like I said, these guys are 2 dogs and they're definitely going to meet up again. But I'm excited to see what this Houston team can do when they have all guys on deck. Obviously, Christian Wood will be back in a few weeks, but I think this team is, going to be right in there fighting in that, 7 to 10 area to try to get one of those playoff spots at the end of the season.
Come on, Matt. You know, Matt, how this goes. These are 2 players that want the smoke. I thought you'd go there, obviously. I love the energy, okay, from both of these guys. Now, I know from personal experience, it's hard, switching teams and then playing against your former team. Me personally, I got booed every time I touched the ball back in Connecticut. Good thing it's limited fans, so you won't hear those loud boos. Plus, Russell Westbrook and John Wall, as Matt said, are super competitive. And this was a really risky move on both parts. Russ risked a lot leaving OKC, where he was the man to play with James Harden. And John, now he risked a lot, fighting back for his career, fighting for his career, reclaiming his career. And so now, with Russ sort of taking his former spot, and especially after those injuries, I see why John Wall is really ready to step up to every challenge. And now I see why, this energy is actually the best thing that is happening to Houston, because you've got a lot of players with chips on their shoulders. And if Houston is really to survive in this post-James Harden era, you need guys like that, that will get down in the trenches and rebuild it from scratch. And so, I saw that exchange, and I was like, I like this. This is normal for us to see it from Russ.
I loved it.
Not necessarily the most normal from John Wall, especially, in a Rockets uniform now.
Well, it's interesting, guys. We just put up the terms of that trade. And that trade had been rumored for a little bit. And the question was, well, who would have to send the first-round pick to who? Who would have to attach a pick? And look, it's too early, obviously, to make a judgment on who got the better of this deal. But it is interesting when we look at the way things have worked out so far. Very small sample size with the limited number of games both these guys have frankly gotten to play. But I don't know. We will see in the end who we think got the better of this deal. As for the Rockets in general now, they have won 3 straight. They are starting to get healthy now that the James Harden saga is behind them. Chene, do you think the Rockets are still a playoff team? They looked deep last night.
Look, Rach, I know it is early, and I did go and check the standings, albeit early, and they're only 2 games back from the 8th spot, where the Warriors, which, by the way, y'all, the Warriors are at the 8th spot. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it is what it is. But once the Rockets, they get Christian Wood back, who, by the way, thank you, Rafael Stone. That was a great get for the Rockets, a guy that's a most improved candidate. I absolutely think that they can sneak their way into the playoffs. It's not just John Wall that's backing down from no one. It's also, as you mentioned, Victor Oladipo coming back from injury. And remember, in his first game back, he made a statement dropping 32. Boogie, getting back to form finally, nailing those threes. Steven Silas getting a fresh start and has them playing defense. And I found this nugget that they're now the 3rd best defensive team after the blockbuster trade. Before the trade, they were 22nd. So now, obviously it's going to be a harder path. Nice. But the Rockets, if they play hard and they play, like they're taking everything personally, I took that personally Jordan-wise, they could sneak themselves into the 8th spot.
Yeah, this is a team full of dogs. I love it. I love the fact that, John and Boogie are still getting their footing back. You saw flashes of how great. People forget how good DeMarcus Cousins, hands down, Joel Embiid, nobody was messing with DeMarcus Cousins when he was healthy. So you're starting to see Boogie find his rhythm, find his tone. But the best thing I like about this team is their dogs. Christian Wood gets back. You got PJ Tucker over there. You got Eric Gordon. I don't think they have very much shooting. So look for them to possibly make a move come trade deadline to maybe add some 3-point shooting to this team. But one thing they're going to do is they're going to play hard every single night. And like you said, now they're, since the trade, they're 3rd in defensive efficiency. So look for that to continue because these guys play hard and I love it.
I can't believe we're talking about a Houston Rockets team, Matt, and you're saying, they don't have much 3-point shooting. But that is the truth right now. Right. It's just a strange thing to be saying out loud. We will have to see. Certainly a chippy, fun game last night. I want to see more from both of these teams. Hopefully we do, and they can all play without any more of these COVID disruptions. All right, guys. Before we go to break, I want to remember one of our own who we lost to COVID-19 yesterday. NBA TV reporter and analyst Sekou Smith, Covered the league for more than 2 decades, starting as a beat writer for the Indianapolis Star covering the Pacers. Then he went on to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution to cover the Hawks before joining Turner Sports in 2009. He'd been a TV analyst, a writer, and a podcast host nationally ever since, touching just about everything and everyone associated with the game. And so when he died, people from all over the NBA community were gutted, including Commissioner Adam Silver, who released this statement that said in part, quote, "The NBA mourns the passing of Sekou Smith, a beloved member of the NBA family. Sekou was one of the most affable and dedicated reporters in the NBA, a terrific friend to so many across the league. Sekou's love of basketball was clear to everyone who knew him, and it always shined through in his work." The Atlanta Hawks added, quote, "The Hawks organization heartbroken by the passing of Sekou Smith. The Hawks beat writer for the AJC from 05 to 09, Sekou provided our fans with honest and fair coverage, sharing incredible insight on the team while establishing himself as one of the NBA's top personalities." Pelicans coach Stan Van Gundy. "The NBA community lost a great man today in Sekou Smith. While I've known him since he was at the AJC, I was lucky to work with him at NBA TV.